So, 2 months ago, I was laid off. After being laid off, I immediately reached out to my network and I began applying for jobs. In about less than a week, 4 different companies contacted me. And over a course of 6 weeks, I began interviewing for those jobs. One company, I interviewed 5 times, 2 company, 4 times, and 1 company, 3 times. All 4 companies resulted in the same thing. They all gave me the exact same reason why they didn't hire me, and that was that they were hiring an internal candidate for the role. So after going through that frustrating process, I decided I was going to travel. And boy, did it change my life. And here are my stories. My journey started in Tampa, Florida. That's where I reside and where it's hot as heck. Drove from Tampa to Savannah, which is about 5-hour drive. Then I drove from Savannah to Raleigh, North Carolina. Then I drove to Richmond, Virginia, and stayed in Baltimore, Maryland. Really enjoyed the state of Maryland. Drove from Baltimore to Wilmington, Delaware. Took a few pictures, did some videoing. Then I drove up to New Haven, Connecticut. Stayed the night, went to Providence, spent about 3 hours in Providence. Then from Providence, went to Hanover, New Hampshire. I'll tell you about that in a later video. Then I drove to Ithaca, New York, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Indianapolis, Indiana, Knoxville, Tennessee. And then I made my way home. I essentially went to 12 locations in 9 nights. I was going to go to 13. I was going to stop in Macon, Georgia, which is about an hour and a half south of Atlanta. But I decided to come home, and I can tell you more about that story. So you may be asking, weirdo, why did you decide to go to those 12 locations and travel for 9 days? Well, it was simple for me. So every location I went to, with the exception of one, I've never been there before. So if I was going to travel, I want to go to places I haven't been before. Indianapolis is the only place I've been before, and that's because that's where I was originally born and raised. But I haven't lived there in 20 years, but I go back occasionally to go see family, see friends. I went to college about an hour south of Indianapolis, so there's still people I know in town. And plus, a good friend of mine was celebrating his birthday, so I happened to be there the day that his birthday was going on, so I had a good time. And I'm going to tell you more about that. And why was I gone 9 days? So the truth behind that is I left with no time frame in mind or really any clear destinations. I kind of thought about 2 days in advance of places I want to go. And I told myself I'm going to be gone as long as I need to be until I can have a clear understanding of where I wanted to go with my life. And around day 7, it hit me. I knew what I wanted to do with my life. There were, 3 things that I decided I wanted to do moving forward. And they weren't super clear on really what I want to do, but it was what the clarity came from is I knew exactly what I didn't want to do. I found that not knowing what I didn't want to do was extremely important. And it's because I discovered I'm an empath also. If you don't know what an empath is, just look it up. But it's basically a person that is empathetic. When you're working in corporate America, empathy does not serve you well. But I tried to use that as a tool and realized that was one of the things that was actually hindering me from actually getting to where I wanted to get to in corporate America. Now, I did end up getting to middle management, but it was difficult. and there were people that were younger than me that got there before me because they were, essentially more cutthroat and willing to do what it took to roll people over to get there. I'm just not built that way. I didn't not understand that until I had a chance to be on the road and get in my head and think about these things, but also talking to people. So one of the things that I did while I was on the road, I wanted to make sure I was prepared, is that every person that I met or had a chance to speak to, I was prepared to ask them 5 questions. The 5 questions that I plan to ask them were the following: what does home mean to you? Question 2 is, what's one piece of advice you would give to your younger self? Third question is, what's something you wish more people understood about you? Fourth is, what's freedom? And then the fifth one, which the one I enjoyed asking the most, is, what makes you happy? I got some extraordinary insight on the way people think, and also I got some insight on myself, because one of the reasons that I decided to ask these questions is because before I went on this journey, I did not have the ability to answer any of these. And now I'm comfortable in answering all 5 of these questions. In the comment section, tell me what you guys think. I would like to know what your answers are to these questions, or if there's other questions you think I should have asked while I was on this journey. Lastly, I plan to create 25 episodes and discuss all the towns that I went to. I'm also going to discuss the likes and dislikes. I'm going to go into the details of all 4 Ivy Leagues that I went to and what it's like to walk around those towns, talk about the hidden gems in those areas. In addition, talk about the food experiences, which were awesome, talk about the people that I met, and also go into detail about the driving, as well as the livability in the community that I experienced, as well as provide the answers to those 5 questions I told you all about. Light skin out.